When I call the docket, stand and let me know you're here. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're not here and a warrant may be issued for your arrest. Alexis Gabriel, Alex Avila, custody. Ruth Gonzalez Payne. Thank you. Juan Martinez, Stacy Smith, custody. Walter Prince. Thank you. Marcus Anthony Freeman. Marcus Anthony Freeman. Jesus Suarez, custody. Timothy Ray Ibarra. Timothy Ray Ibarra. Matthew Garcia. Gabriel Salazar. Where? Thank you. Edward Anthony Lopez Jr. Adeline Steely, custody. Josh Randall Sanchez. Josh Randall Sanchez. Oscar Carvajal, custody. Lincoln Martins, custody. Mandy Wallace, custody. Lennon Cortez, custody. Stephen Flores, custody. David Cortez, Edward Valdez, custody. Michael Keaton, custody. Martin.
He's an electronic stick monitor.
All right.
And he's here.
All right, Michael Keaton, thank you. Mark Davis Lunsford. Avelina Lopez, custody. Noah Nellam, custody. Jesus Lopez, custody. Jesus Suarez, custody. Daryl Payne.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Payne.
Hello.
Hello. All right, is there anyone whose name was not called? All right, attorneys, to make everything go smoothly, please follow these rules. Please do not violate these rules. Otherwise, things are not going to run smoothly. Number one, we're going paperless. And when I say we, I mean the powers that be told us we're going paperless. So in order for me to know that you're ready, you're going to have to sign in. And that'll help you because you'll sign in, you'll put the time that you sign in, and you will see, hey, have I been here all day? If for some reason you feel as though you've been sitting here for a while and I haven't called your name, that's because I don't know that you're ready. If you have a client who is in custody, they need to be brought out. Ask the deputy. Once you've requested that person, do not leave the courtroom because for security reasons, there's only so many inmates who are allowed out at one time. Miss Abrams is to the back. She's with probation. If you think your client is going to apply for probation, if they're currently on probation, if there's a sentencing in a PSI, please confer with her. She's an integral part of the legal system. Court reporter to my left, do not talk behind her when we're on the record. You know we're on the record because I will have called the style of the case. Once I've called the style of the case, if you're talking to somebody in the box, just raise your hand. The deputy will move you to the other side. If your client wishes to speak to the court in a language other than English, we will need an interpreter, whether you speak the language or not. Let the clerks know they'll call an interpreter down. Once an interpreter has been requested, please do not leave the courtroom because we have a limited number of interpreters and they're expecting to be here for about 5 minutes. Usually it takes them 5 minutes to arrive. You are only ready to approach the court if you have conferred with your client and conferred with the state. Again, it's Monday. We thought we'd be retired. We're not. We're probably looking at 30 more years. So let's be kind to each other. I'm sorry. Yeah, we are really looking at probably 30 more years unless we win the lottery. So everyone, but it's going to be a great day. Please confer. It's San Antonio. It's going to be up to 92 degrees today in the fall. Okay. So ask him when do they expect their competency evaluation to be completed? Sure. And if you'll let the attorney know.
Mr. Cortez.
Mr.
Lennon.
Edward Anthony.
I go back there for days in custody. You want me to go back there to get days in custody or? Lennon Cortez. There's a SID number.
Can I give you my numbers so that show?
It's got 2 cases.
Yeah, so, you know, the news is right. You don't forget about it.
It's SID number 730-906. Yes, ma'am.
Edward Anthony, open?
There's something that turns up.
Gabriel Salazar?
That's unfortunate.
Matthew Garcia?
100 even. On both of them.
Both.
Okay, thanks. All right, thanks.
What? Yeah. So Marcus, yes. Okay. All this, I will do that. Thank you.
When you're ready, come.
Okay, thank you. Whatever you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Issues of different size for stuff. Oh, it's fire.
Oh, my God.
125 CR 00679.
Sorry. Yeah. Do you have them come down?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, it was a little.
All right, guys, they say there's a major accident on IH 35 South to I-10, so you have to use an alternate route if you're heading to another county.
You will hear from me.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm saying is. Well, there's some that's more. Yeah.
No, my kids were off last week. I worked last part of last week, so we were. It's like a fall break. They get a charter school. It's they do their own thing, whatever that is. It was kind of nice.
And it says TV speaker, movie, laptop. Set up. Standard. What color? Red. You'd like. Yes.
Oh, sure.
Thought you. No, I just. One earlier.
I might be able to read my writing.
So much.
Sure. And if you need any more, just let me know.
Right.
Not quite clear. I need to for this. I need my client.
You know, I'm thinking about it. How would point that? Let's see here. Yeah. Marcus Freeman. No, so we have a setting. We've already got the referral. Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, that's the two costs as well, like this. Some of the first people that we are. The TV costs.
Isn't it does? Yeah, I guess I need to bring. I have a. Marcus Freeman? I have a Marcus Anthony Freeman. I was not aware of this. I don't wonder. Yeah. Maybe he's the third. Good guy. That doesn't look like 77. I was born in 77. Maybe. So this is the case. Yeah. Wait, contact device. No, we're gonna need that evaluation done.
But Sean, if you come here for a moment, please. Sure, my personal mouse?
Oh, the mouse.
Sure, here you are.
Yes. We'll take a sec.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, 'cause if
So
someone's
do you
leaving-
think we need to wait for Steve?
No, we can take care of him now. Let's see what's going on. Because she said her issue was she's been getting complaints about his brother.
So I just started to talk.
Well, he said that, he did lose his school and he said, thanks for the help. Like, thanks for no help because he's been in communication with two people. They've been asking him to send in,
That's where.
like different documents and he sent in everything and, but there is still no movement in getting him back into Center for Healthcare Services. And there's no movement with getting him that shot. So he
Okay.
frustrated, he was just like, "Okay."
So is he
Thanks for
still
nothing.
not back in Center for Health Services? All right, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna see if I can get somebody over here to help me with this.
So he's been with the Center for Healthcare Services for, I think he said something like 14 years. So he doesn't understand why it's taking so long for him to get in. So that's why he's so frustrated.
All right, let me see.
I think honestly.
I'm gonna call somebody right now
Okay,
and see if I can get something done.
okay. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna wait and see.
I'm not sure.
Anyone ready?
I think just a second. Absolutely, go right ahead. So. Go right ahead. Our wells. Do you have that? Who's that? Sir.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, he's Grover.
What I get?
Oh, he put
No,
my name-
Martin.
Which guy?
I didn't.
You see, he did it.
I had said something to you, but you're ignoring me.
Sure, I was paying attention because you were talking about Freeman, not. Bird.
But Martin, I also thought you should come back.
Oh, he's not out here. So it's not that I can, I could be, it's just like.
Okay.
We have some Martin. I'll talk about two different issues.
I get not being like I'm not being. So it says. When you go again?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, then we have one.
All right, for those of you who signed in, we're just waiting for your clients to be brought up.
Did Mr. Baba- Go right ahead, did it for athletes, but you know, there.
Also not the top one?
Yeah, there's food up there.
That's you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just, we're scoring a little short. So we'll just probably. Okay.
Another attorney right now. I go Mr. Padilla.
Thank you.
Sorry, you need to sit on the second row. He needs to sit on the second row. I'll get them out of the way in a few minutes. I have this Emergency office or out we go. Mr. Lopez, can you come in here, please? Thank you.
Okay.
The settings.
Okay, awesome. Oh,
What's your first name?
I didn't do anything.
Now,
Great, thank you so much for your
is it
assistance.
on here?
Yes.
It's a Monday.
Oh, did you need the mouse again?
You see?
Yeah, yeah.
You see?
So the
I'll
judge.
give him a call. Have a seat. That's what I asked.
It's Peter,
Mhm.
you won't be able to see it.
I'm glad it happened.
Alright, sorry, no complaints.
Ah. Oh. Well, confrère, mon frère.
You might find this whole.
Sure, no problem.
I'm glad you were getting with that. Sorry?
What is?
Yeah.
All right, that is.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but you could, like I said, pretty on that, it's like he's denying. And this guy.
We will take a lunch break.
A little early.
Yeah.
Tyler.
So.
I'm just looking for better sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Is your guy, or Ted?
I need to, what I would like to do is just to reach my zero something. Oh, wow. I'm gonna get you the phone. Oh, yeah, there you go. Let's just-
You'll have one martinis in back.
He's downstairs with me.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's a cute, cute kitty. Is that your kitty?
This one?
No, the one that was on your picture.
Oh, no, I just, oh, that's actually like that, because it has.
Well, that was a it was a pretty kitty.
Hello. Hi, how's it going? Yeah, you ready?
Page two. Second one, Suarez Moreno.
All right, Suarez Moreno. All right, hello, who is this?
Judge, I have a motion for bond reduction.
But where is your client?
Well,
Oh, no, and she can be here.
Yeah, you have to wait till she's called up. Yeah, you have to wait till she's called as a witness. So once she's called as a witness, then we can take that up. All right, do you have his motion? All right, do you have a copy of your motion?
yes.
All right, everyone, we're going to go on the record. Court is calling 2020-25 CR 007922 State versus Jesus Suarez Moreno. Can I have parties announced for the record?
We're paying for the state of Texas.
Javier Padilla for the defendant.
And are you Mr. Moreno? All right, you're here for a motion to reduce bond, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, we were here on October 7th. The motion to reduce bond at that time was withdrawn by the defense. The state agreed for your witnesses to be able to appear by Zoom, but you wanted your witness in person, that's correct?
And they're here today, Judge.
All right, state, have you had a chance to review the defense's motion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you in agreement to a bond reduction? All right, defense, it's your motion. You may proceed. Do you have any witnesses?
I do. I would like to call Mr. Alex Afron.
Over here, sir. I'm right here with your back again.
And counsel, your client does not need an
No,
interpreter.
no,
Okay.
my client does not. Just his mother. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Alex Pepper.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Yeah, A is an apple, F is in Frank, R is in Robert, A is an apple, M is in Mary.
All right. You may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Adams.
Morning.
All right, and so if you all could do me a favor, because the court reporter has to hear, and I know it's normal to face counsel.
Sure.
Yes. All right, and if you'll keep your voice up for the court reporter. All right, defense, you may proceed.
We're here on a bond reduction hearing for Jesus Suarez Moreno. Do you know Jesus?
I sure did.
How do you know him?
I am his boss.
Okay, tell me about your business. What kind of business do you have?
I'm a licensed general contractor here in San Antonio. We've been in business for many years and Jesus was one of my good employees.
What kind of work does he do for you?
Jesus is an electrician.
Do you know his family as well?
I do. I know his wife. I know his kids. Yes.
Has Jesus been a good employee for you?
Yes, it's been excellent. Yeah.
Would you say he's been dependable,
Yes, absolutely.
reliable?
Yes, absolutely.
If he's a granted bond, do you believe he will appear for any court?
Absolutely, he will. Yes, yes.
Do you have any concern or fear that he might flee and not appear for court?
No, not at all.
So if he is released on bond, does he have a job waiting for you?
Yes, I
For him
actually,
with you?
sure, absolutely. The
Yeah.
moment he's out, I'll hire him back right away.
And how much does he get paid per hour?
He gets paid about $250 per day.
Per day?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. And he works how many days a week?
He works about 5 days.
And there's plenty of work for him, so he will be actively employed. What he's doing.
Absolutely, yes.
I'll pass the witness. Your Honor.
State.
Good morning.
I guess start.
Yeah.
Thank you. You said you're a general contractor?
Yes, sir.
What is, Mr. Smart's position?
Electrician,
Electrician.
Mhm.
And how long has he been working with you?
over 5 years?
5 years.
Mhm.
Okay, any issues with his work during that time?
No, not at all.
Has he ever shown a place to work at any point?
No, he always shows up.
And you said he makes how much per day, sir?
About 250?
$250?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an electrician.
Okay. Does he get paid, cash, you give him checks weekly or?
I'll pay him cash.
Cash?
Yeah.
Cash daily?
Yeah.
Okay. You said he works 5 days a week?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you aware of any problems he may have with alcohol or substance abuse?
No,
Has
I'm
he
not
ever-
aware of that.
Has he ever shown, concerns to you about it?
No,
Are you aware of the charge that's been given?
I'm kind of aware of it, yes.
Are you aware a little bit of the facts about what happened or not?
Not the whole facts, but I've heard about it.
Um. So despite this, you would feel comfortable hiring him?
Absolutely. He's been around my family, my wife, my daughter, my kids. We've been in multiple homes with multiple females in there. No problem at all.
What type of job site do you guys go to on a regular basis?
We do full rehabs,
So is it residential or commercial?
residential.
Residential.
Mhm.
Okay. These residential homes that you come to, are they occupied by the people or are they gone when you guys are working?
Sometimes they're occupied by people, but majority of them are not occupied.
When they are occupied by people,
Mhm.
is it? Men, women that are there?
Mostly women,
Mostly women?
mostly women, yes.
Um. The further questions of someone afterwards.
Nothing further.
All right, I have a couple of questions. Any objections? All right, so these homes that he's in,
Mhm.
is there any supervision by anyone else or is he in there by himself?
A lot of times he's by himself. We assign him the job and he's by himself. I've never heard anything negative.
And these hours that he works or would be working with you, are these daytime hours, nighttime hours?
Sometimes nighttime, sometimes daytime. It depends on customers.
And would it be on the weekends as well?
Sometimes on weekends, yes.
All right, thank you so much for coming in,
Your Honor.
and thank you for dressing appropriately for court.
Thank you.
All right, you may call your next witness.
I'll call Maria Moreno.
All right, we have an interpreter for this witness, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And is the language Spanish?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, if I could have the interpreter, if you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Catalina Delgado, spelled Delgado, license number 2222.
All right, if the witness, if you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you may lower your hand. All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Tell us your name, please.
Maria del Socorro Moreno.
Maria del Socorro Moreno.
And are you the mother of Jesus Suarez Moreno?
Soy la mamá de Jesús Suárez Moreno.
I am the mother of Jesus Suarez Moreno.
Tell me about your family. How many children do you have?
6 hijos.
I have 6 children.
And Jesus, where does he fit in that group of 6?
Es el más chico. ¿Cómo? Más chico. Okay.
He's the youngest. He's the youngest.
And you have grandchildren, great grandchildren?
17.
Now, are you employed?
No.
Espera hasta aquí. If I may, Judge.
That's okay.
She's answering before.
No. So, excuse me, miss. So we either have to use the interpreter or not. Sometimes I know that people are in the middle of a conversation and they know how a question is going to go. But it would make it so easy for the court reporter if you'll wait until the interpreter finishes interpreting and then answer.
Very well.
Okay.
Gracias.
Let's interpret. Okay, where was I? Grandkids, 17 grandkids, okay. Are you retired? Are you still employed?
I don't work. I'm retired.
Okay. And where is your address? Where do you live? If your son is released on bond, would he be living with you?
Sí.
Yes.
Have you ever known? You know Jesus is an electrician, right?
Sí.
Yes.
Have you ever known him to not show up to work, to skip work, to not call in, any of those things?
No. No.
No.
Has he always been good and dependable about his employment?
Yes.
Now, do you know how much the bond is in this case?
Sí.
Yes.
How much is it?
123. 123.
123,000.
Actually, it's 125, but that's close enough.
Okay.
Do you know that to post a bond in Bexar County, generally you need 10%?
Sí.
Yes.
And in this case, 10% would be $12,500.
Yes.
Can you afford to come up with $12,500?
No.
No.
Okay. Would any amount of bond that the judge sets, would that be paid by you?
Sí, la mitad de esa cantidad.
Yes, half of that amount.
You would get help with whatever the amount is.
Sorry?
No, you said half. Does that mean that somebody else would pay the other half?
No, no, no. Yo pagaría, pero, o sea, me dijo que.
Okay,
I would pay, but you said half.
No, te enseñan eso.
So half would be 12,
No, la mitad.
half.
Okay. Now, if the judge lowers the bond to say 30,000,
Ujú.
would you be able to come up with
Yes.
$3,000?
Sí, yes, sí.
Yes,
Sí.
Would you be able to come up with any more than $3,000?
5.
So you could come up with $5,000, meaning the bond would be 50,000.
Yes,
And is that what you would like the judge to set the bond at?
yes,
And you know that, of course, if you put up that money, you're responsible. So you would you assure the court that Jesus would show up to court for all these future hearings?
Sí.
yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor, my name is so. Okay, so this is your son,
Sí, sí.
Yes, sir.
and you said how many children do you want?
6.
6.
Okay, how many of those are sons and how many of those are daughters?
4 mujeres y 2 hombres.
4 females and 2 males.
Okay, so 4 daughters and 2 sons,
Sí,
Yes,
and you're saying if this is the youngest, correct?
más chico.
the youngest.
He's the youngest, okay. What are the ages of your other children, please?
El primer, el fish, tiene 52.
The first one is 52.
La mujer, Fish, la primera hija tiene 49.
And the second child, my first daughter, she's 49.
Sí, no, no, sobre 48.
The next one is 48, the other daughter.
46.
The first child, also a woman, she's 46.
40.
The next one is 40.
Sí.
And then Chewy, my son, I'm not exactly sure, but I believe he's 34.
Yes, yes, is your son 34?
Yes, this is- I believe so. He was born in 93.
Okay, so your oldest son is 52 years old. And you
Sí,
have
sí.
4 daughters that are 49, 48, 46, and 40.
Sí.
Okay,
Yes,
and where do your other son and your 4 daughters live?
my first son is in Mexico. And my other 2 daughters are here. And the 2 daughters in Mexico.
2 daughters in Mexico and 2 daughters here.
Sí.
Do the 2 daughters that are living here live with you?
No.
No,
Okay, so
they're married.
they're married, okay, so who lives with you?
So.
I live alone.
Okay, so if.
I
your
love my house.
Yeah, okay, so if there's something supposed to grant to bond, he'll come live with you, is that correct?
Sí, sí.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
you said you have 17 grandchildren as well? Congratulations.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
Do you know how many of those are granddaughters and grandsons? That's probably the last one, I'll click that. What are the general age ranges of your grandchildren?
La mayor tiene 28, es doctora en Monterrey. El segundo es hombre, tiene 20.
That's, we don't have to do one at a time. What's your oldest one and what's your youngest?
Sí, tiene 28 y la más chiquita tiene, va a cumplir 8 en diciembre.
My oldest granddaughter is 28. She's a doctor in Monterrey. My youngest granddaughter out of all of them, she's 8. She's gonna be 8 in December.
Now, of those 7, you have more granddaughters or grands?
I have 3 great granddaughters.
Okay, so 3 granddaughters and then the other 14 are grandsons, is that?
3 great
Oh,
granddaughters.
granddaughters, oh, okay. Well, congratulations. Okay. Now you said that if he was granted bond, you would pay half of that amount, is that correct?
Yes,
But who would pay the other thing?
that's what I'm going to pay.
Right, you pay one half, but who pays the other?
¿Cuánto sería en total? Es que yo estaba nada más para de los dos de la mitad.
How much would be the total? Because I thought from the 12th I would pay half.
Right, okay, all right, so we'll find out who's gonna pay the other half, correct? All right, now, if your son comes to live with you or any of your daughters, your great granddaughters, granddaughters, when come visit?
Yes, yes.
Are you aware of the nature of the charge that's currently pending against Jesus?
Yes.
Knowing that he is charged with that, do you have any concerns for the daughter, your granddaughters, and your great granddaughters?
No.
No,
Okay, have you ever been concerned about that type of behavior upon Jesus?
No.
no, never.
To your knowledge, does Jesus drink alcohol?
Yes,
To your knowledge, have you ever had a concern for him abusing life?
No.
no,
So he hasn't brought it any.
No.
no.
Only one.
Only one beer.
Can we drink one beer at a time?
And one time.
One. So he's been drunk one time before, I'm confused.
No, not drunk.
Okay, all right, I think that's it. Do you have alcohol in your home?
No.
No,
Jesus comes to live with you, are you gonna allow him to drink in your home?
No.
no, no,
Okay. Is Jesus by any chance in a relationship with anybody?
I don't understand.
Does he have a girlfriend?
I see one is.
He's married,
He has no wife.
he has a wife.
He's
Okay.
married.
And where is she?
It's that, today, or hoy, trabajo.
She worked today.
Where does she live? So. Jesus wouldn't even live with his wife and come live with you, right? Does Jesus have
Yes.
children with his wife?
Yes, he has 2 daughters.
What are her daughter pages, please?
The oldest is 12? And the other one is 7.
All right, any other questions?
I'll keep it brief.
No, no.
Do you have any concern? That Jesus will do anything harmful to any of his grandkids, kids, children that we talked about?
No doubts.
Uh, and Jesus will be with you, so it's, pending trial, he'll be living in. That's all.
Yes.
All right, I have a couple of questions. It may just turn out to be one. All right, any objections? Do you have any minor grandchildren who actually spend the night at your home?
No.
So if he were released on bond, one of the conditions most likely will be that he is not allowed to have any contact with minor children. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I have no further questions.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for coming down and for dressing appropriately for court. Thank you. Oh, and excuse me to the interpreter. I don't know if she's still going to need you to know what happens. All right, thank you. All right, any other witnesses?
No, Judge, that's all I have.
All right, state any witnesses.
Not from the state.
All right, the court will hear argument unless there's any evidence from the state.
The only evidence without just entering the report is 6 Exhibit 1.
Any objections?
No, Judge.
All right, state exhibit number 1 is admitted without objections for purposes of this hearing. And have you had a chance to review state's exhibit number 1?
Yes, I have. Judge.
All right. Is there any relationship alleged, any alleged relationship between the defendant and the complainant?
I don't think they're related.
And the reason why I say that, because I'm reading state's exhibit number 1 and state's exhibit number 1. It was mentioned that there's an allegation of a criminal trespass at that location, but then the person is stating that they never signed a request that he not be allowed on the property. So that's why I'm trying to figure out what is the alleged relationship.
They do know each other, Judge, but as far as a relationship, there really isn't one.
All right, so if you'll give that to the court reporter, please. All right, the court will hear argument. Defense, what are you asking for?
Judge, as you know, the offense is sexual assault. It's not aggravated sexual assault. There are you read the report, there's no independent witnesses who said they saw something, they heard something, they know something.
All right, so here's what I'm
So-
telling everyone, because I want the record to be clear. I have not received any testimony. My role here today is just to decide bond, not decide whether it's true or not.
Other than what you've read,
Mhm.
what exists. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Mr. Mota has been in jail since April 1, so it's over 6 months. The bond, I think, is high at
So what are you requesting for a bond amount?
30,000, Your Honor.
All right, defense is requesting 30,000 for a bond. What are you requesting?
Request of the bond state the amount that it is, we feel that it's appropriate for the charge, the facts has alleged up to this point, and there's been criminal history. He does have a DWI on his record, Your Honor, as well as a felony indecent assault here in Bear County. So it seems like this behavior is.
What do you mean a pending indecent assault?
I need to, I'm sorry, my laptop, it doesn't show a, conclusion, like, for a DWI, can proceed, deferred education.
No, I'm back to the indecency. What is that?
I'm not aware of
Oh,
that.
no, I'm sorry, that's this.
All right, so you're telling me all he has is DWI?
On his record.
All right. If there's nothing else, this is what the court is going to do. Since there was no evidence presented to the court on what he's able to pay, what is in his bank account.
His mom, Judge, that's all he's got.
Well, I mean, no evidence has been presented to the court what his bank account is and how much money he has. This is what the court is going to do. The court is going to set his bond at $70,000. There's going to be partial GPS for employment only. Waive GPS fees. All right, is there anything else?
Says that you are no contact with the victim and minor children.
All right, there's to be no contact with the complainant. And there's to be no contact. Well, is the complainant a minor?
No, Judge.
Complaint is not a minor.
All right, there's to be no contact with the complainant and no unsupervised contact with minors. All right, so he is due back here on, I think, the 20th for the state to tender an offer. State, are you able to tender an offer today? All right, Ms. Ferguson, I need a 30-day reset for a plea deadline date. All right, we'll be back on November 20th. At that time, you need to let the court know whether or not you reached an agreement with the state. If you have not reached an agreement, then your next setting will be a jury trial date, and that will be sometime in the new year. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Record may state to be the one year.
Once it's entered into the record, it's there. Yes. If you want to make a copy of it, I'm sure she'll allow you to do that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
And Judge, you know that we're off the record. In 30 years, I'll be 100 years old.
Hey,
I
but you don't even look close to that.
hope I'm not still working.
No, it was just turned into be.
Mr. Judge.
So. Star on there.
What page was Moreno on, please? Page 2. All right, thank you. Anyone else ready?
Yes, Judge. Next one is on page 5, 6.
Lincoln Mertens.
Present judge.
All right, where's your client?
He's in custody, judge.
Okay. Morning.
Your motion.
All right, so on this case, where are we on discovery?
Yes, Judge. So this is our first setting. I've gone through some discovery. There is a large amount of discovery that I need to get the DA's office a copy. It's too large to download and it's probably about half a terabyte, I believe. There are two other co-defendants. I believe that my understanding is the DA's office was copying all of the discovery into one file because there's duplicates and and then they were making copies. Or not sure if they're making copies or we need to get copies of that discovery.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll recall it in 30 days to see where we are. Ms. Ferguson, I need a 30-day reset for discovery.
November 20th.
All right, so we'll be back on November 20th, and that's just for me to see where you all are on discovery. What I can tell you, if this case goes to trial, it'll be sometime in the new year. All right, do you have any questions?
All right, Judge, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too. This is very odd. Why is he A on some cases and C on others?
Probably missed them on, as a co-defendant.
No, I mean, but on some cases, he's C, in some cases, he's A.
I did. I just need to mention one thing. It's
Can I borrow your list there? Thank you.
I'm sorry. One on street. No, he's on.
On that side.
Yeah. I
Have all of these. Because
All right, who is next?
next is page 10. First one has to search.
Jesus Lopez. Morning. Good morning. So is this for sentencing? What are we here for?
The judge, this is an MTR that was set today.
Mhm.
I believe.
I need the MTR paperwork. Thank you. Yes,
And the state wants to address you about it.
I mean,
yes.
I'm not able to, we're not able to reach an agreement on this at this time. The defense, or I'm sorry, the allegations of the MTR are two new number ones out in Nueces County. We know nothing about him. I did call Nueces County this morning to try to talk to the ADA, see what's going on with them. If there's anything else we could allege as a potential technical, because he's not willing to plead true to these at this time. I haven't received a return call back.
All right, Ms. Ferguson, set this for a contested MTR in 20 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. What date? November 3rd? All right, we'll have you back here November 3rd. Thank you.
I go not to get this.
Oh, defense. Do you have any objections to witnesses appearing by Zoom?
I mean, they are out of county. If I do have to prove it up, it would be easier.
Then I would object, Judge. I don't want to make their job easier.
Okay. All right, so they'll need to appear in person.
Thank you.
Thank you. 20 days, November 3rd.
Oh.
What date?
Guess I can keep it then. November 10th.
All right, state defense is going to be November 10th. Josh Sanchez. All right, and when you say his attorney is out sick, who is this attorney?
That's Kelly Green.
So Kelly Green is out sick? All right, if you'll come forward. So hello,
Hello,
hi, why were you late?
parking.
Okay, so court starts at 9, okay? Thank you for dressing appropriately for court. What's gonna end up happening is your attorney is sick. Have you been able to have any contact with your attorney?
No,
All right, do you want to keep that attorney or would you like a new attorney appointed?
well, I've never even have contact, so.
Okay, just give a second. Let me have, Norma, if you can have Mac come down, please. All right, so we're gonna have someone come down and I'll let you talk to them, okay? All right, thank you. Who's next?
Ibarra, on page 2. That's. Ibarra.
Timothy Ibarra. Hello. So is your client in Bear County or no?
He's not in custody. He is present in Bear County. I just spoke with his mother this morning.
So where is he?
She didn't get any notice. The phone I texted was, not her correct phone, what I had on the reset form, but I just talked with her. She can bring him here tomorrow or next Monday, but he is incompetent.
Okay,
And
all right, he's on the docket, so,
I understand. I tried to
yeah.
explain that to you last week.
yeah, so he'll need to be here tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
Next, we have Alex Oliva, page 9. 17 years.
All right, the parties on Alex Avila. Is there gonna be, there was a PSI that was completed? All right, any objections to the court reviewing the PSI? All right, so let me just review that. It'll take me about 2 minutes and then I will call you online. All right, are the parties ready on Avila? Good morning. All right, the court is calling 2025 CR 0018000A and 2025 CR 0018002B, State versus Alex Avila. Can I have parties announce?
Megan Galloway for the state.
Faith Castillo for defense, Your Honor.
And we have an interpreter. Again, if you could raise your hand for the record. Do you solemnly swear and affirm you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Catalina Delgado, license number 2222.
And are you Alex Avila?
Yes.
And counsel, have you been able to communicate with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we're here for a sentencing. Have both parties received the PSI and TAP evaluation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI or TAP evaluation from either side?
No, Your Honor, just some clarification points on the PSI, so. On the previous, it says previous criminal history. We're coming together on all of the cases, so that's just to note, there was no actual prior to these instances that were taking place.
All right. Are there any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor, we have one, Marisol Morales, if we could call her to this.
All right, if you'll call your witness in.
Defense would like to call Marisol Morales.
All right, if you'll remember to keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear.
Yes.
All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Marisol Morales.
All right, you may proceed.
Good morning, Ms. Morales. Can you state your occupation for the court today?
I am a licensed master social worker for the public defender's office.
And I'm so sorry, if you could not turn towards her when you speak, it's just so the court reporter can hear. Thank you.
Ms. Morales, how long have you been with the public defender's office?
Approximately 8 years.
And what do you do for the office?
I meet with our felony clients to do assessment.
Do you have any background in the work you do in the licensures?
Yes, I'm, like stated, I'm a licensed master social worker with a specialty in mental health and substance use. I'm a licensed drug and alcohol counselor. I have a certification as a trauma professional. I've completed approximately 3,000 hours of clinical supervision with mental health diagnosing and assessing. I've worked in the mental health and substance use field for approximately 27 years.
And have you worked with clients around these type of charges before?
I've provided expert testimony in 17 felony cases.
Has that been here with Bear County
Yes, ma'am.
and other counties?
No.
Ms. Morales, is this a copy of your resume?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm tendering a copy to the court and to prosecution defense exhibit a copy of Ms. Morales's CV.
Any objections to the court reviewing the CV? No. All right, then defense exhibit A will be admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, due to Ms. Morales's education, licensure, and over 27 years of experience in the fields of mental health, trauma, and substance use, we'd like to offer her as an expert in social work.
All right, any objection? No. All right, you may proceed.
Ms. Morales, are you familiar with the case today?
I am.
How did you get started with it?
It was deferred to me by, as the attorney for the case.
Do you create any logs when you review information?
I do, I prepare notes or take notes, yes, when I'm meeting with an individual.
And so you're familiar with Mr. Alex Avila, correct?
Very, yes.
What did those meetings look like?
We met over the course of the summer, approximately 3 months. I spent about 20 hours with him interviewing, assessing his life history.
Is that your normal routine with felony clients?
Yes, with any client.
And how long are these meetings?
Anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half.
Are they in person? Are they over video?
It's a mixture
Okay.
of video and
So you completed an assessment for Mr. Avila.
I did.
How many times do you recall meeting with Mr. Avila?
Probably about 10 times.
And during those meetings, what do you talk about?
We go over his background, childhood, education, family history, just, starting at the beginning, any trauma that the person may have experienced. Just an overall picture of who the person is.
Okay. Do you remember preparing it for Mr. Avila?
Yes.
I'm showing a copy of the assessment to Ms. Morales, tendering a copy to the court.
Any objection?
And also to the state.
I would object just to it being admitted, because she can ask questions about like the work that she did, but as far as it.
All right, the objection will be sustained.
Ms. Morales, you spoke with Mr. Avila, correct? And what was his background that you?
Very, born and raised in Mexico, parents married, most of his education was from Mexico. Nothing stood out that he reported, any traumatic events as far as any physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. They arrived here in the United States when he was about 16 years old and enrolled in the San Antonio School District.
Did you review any mental health assessments with him?
Did I review any? No,
No, okay.
there were none available.
What about substance use?
We did review his substance use history and he did not meet the criteria for any diagnosis.
I'm gonna move on to different considerations you make when you're meeting with clients. What are the ones that you take into it?
Well, when I'm doing an overall assessment for somebody, it's not just looking at their whole life development, what's happened, how did we get here? But I also look at mental health, anything that may have impacted that, anything that may have impacted normal human development. I also conduct assessments for risk.
Are there different type of factors that you take into consideration?
For any risk assessment, whether it's itself or anyone in the court system, we take a look at factors such as the criminal history, the age of the offense, whether any substance use or mental health were factors that played into how they got today. Their marital status, their education level, their work history, whether they show any disposition to criminal orientation, several factors.
And let's start with the first type, static factors. What do those?
The static factors are things that do not change in the person's life, which typically is the criminal history, the age of the offense, their whether their parents were married, just things that are kind of black and white.
And what did you find from Mr. Avila?
This is his first criminal offense. That was a big factor that impacted his eventual risk level.
And how old was he at the time of the offense?
He was 17.
And does that have any effect on your evaluation?
Well, it's a big consideration when we're talking about risk and how we got here. That's the purpose of my assessment, is just to give context on what happened. And for Mr. Avila, he was 17 at the time of the offense, and as we know, particular this court, that 17-year-olds don't exactly have always great decision making. At that age, their brains are still developing. Their prefrontal cortex, which is kind of where we have our decision making and our impulse control, is not fully developed. And that was one of the factors that I took a look at with Alex.
Does anyone else in his family have any history of criminality that you know
No. And I did speak with both parents, and there was no criminal history reported on minors.
of? What about early behavioral problems?
No, Alex actually was a pretty typical average adolescent. Up until this offense, he was basically going to school, very involved with soccer. There was nothing really outstanding happening in his life prior to something.
You mentioned you reviewed and spoke with him different school records. What did school look like for him based on what you talked about with him and what you reviewed?
Well, they got here when he was about 16. Usually when individuals arrive here when they're younger, it's very much easier to assimilate. They pick up language quicker. Their skills, they're a little bit more like sponges, but little bit older that you get, it becomes a little more difficult. But in reviewing his records, he actually was an average student, about B and C. No disciplinary or attendance issues.
What about the dynamic risk factors? What are those?
So the dynamic risk factors are things that can see in a person's life. That's where we look at mental health, substance use, their peers, their attitudes towards crime, those things that can fluctuate throughout a person's life course.
And what did you find from Mr. Avila?
Well, one of the things that I take a look at is the behavioral history. And because as we get older, there are individuals who can display pro-criminal attitudes, and that's not something that I found with Alex. And spending time with him and talking to his family, looking over the school records, he does not display antisocial personality traits at all. He generally takes time with school, pretty okay, and substance use, or mental health that was impacting.
I want to talk more about the impact of him as a young adult. What did you find when looking into the case in terms of the implication of incarceration?
Well, the time of the offense, Alex was 17. Now he is 18. And unfortunately, what the research tells us is that individuals who are in that young adult age group are at much higher risk of victimization in the prison system, especially for first-time offenders, that more at risk for physical and sexual assaults. There was a study 2013, I believe, by the Bureau of Statistics that ranked Texas as one of the highest reporters of violence against individuals between the ages of 18 and 2020.
And so how does that involve Mr. Abbey?
Well, it places him at high risk. Absolutely. He would be facing significant challenges due to his age. putting him at risk, with older, more experienced individuals who are in the system. And that can lead to more issues that come up later on in his life.
In your overall expert opinion after meeting with Alex and conducting all of your research, how would you describe to the court Alex overall?
I would place him probably at a lower end of being a risk to the community. That's one of the factors that I do take a look at. I understand the nature of the offense of the individual. I understand what has happened, but for Alex, he's got a lot of protective factors that help mitigate those risk factors that he may have. He does have a supportive family, he was going to school, he's single, he doesn't have any children. And I think that would place him at the lower end of being a future risk to the community.
Ms. Morales, did you have a chance to review the pre-sentence investigation report?
Again,
Was there anything you disagreed with within the report?
maybe not necessarily disagree, I just have a very different perspective because I was able to spend a significant amount of time with Alex. And that would be, I think, the assessor for the PSI put a pre-contemplation, contemplation stage, and that would mean that maybe he's not ready to accept what is coming up against. I would probably place him in the preparation, which is he has expressed a lot of remorse for what has happened. He fully acknowledges and takes responsibility, and I think those are very important factors. We're looking at whether somebody will intend to commit any crime.
Is there any difference if a youth takes accountability early on versus not taking any accountability at all?
No, like I said, it makes a huge difference. That's actually one of the factors that we also look at when assessing risk.
No further questions, Your Honor. We pass the witness.
All right, state.
You stated that you're familiar with Mr. Abijah, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, you became familiar with him over being with him 8 times in the months of May and August. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And so in your assessment of him, you stated it's your testimony that you place him off the low risk. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so what metric are you using to determine whether he's a risk to the community?
It would be similar to what probation, their TRAS system uses, looking at the static and dynamic factors. And I did list some looking at antisocial attitudes, antisocial fears, personality patterns, history of antisocial behavior, marital factors, in education, employment, pro-social, leisure activities, criminal history, age of offense, family history. It's similar to what probation uses.
Okay. And so regarding the criminal history aspect of it, you stated that this was his first criminal offense, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so when you're factoring in your assessment, you're aware that he's here for 3 separate aggravated robberies.
Correct.
Correct? Okay, and so when you're doing your assessment, you just count that as one criminal transaction, or do you factor it in as 3 separate offenses?
3.
Okay, and so it's still your belief that this involvement, 3 aggravated robberies, you believe that he's a low risk to community?
Yes, because I'm not just looking at the offenses. There are other factors that you have to look at in order to make a complete assessment of what their risk is. So although the criminal offenses are a factor, it's not the only thing that we have to take into account.
Okay, and so something else that you take into account is the support that he has surrounding him, is that correct? And that's something that's been unchanged since before and after the offense, correct?
The individuals that are supporting him, no, that has not changed.
Okay, because his parents have been married, correct?
Correct.
He has siblings, correct?
Correct.
They all came to the United States together, correct?
Correct.
They were all living together at the time of this offense, correct?
Correct.
And so how do you factor that into what's gonna change between before when he had this support system and chose to commit the crimes and then now?
Well, one of the things that did change in their family makeup was that when they were living in Mexico, mom was a stay-at-home mom and father was the main provider for the household. And that changed when they came to the United States, where both parents had to work. And when we talk about support, it's love and encouragement, but the way the house was running did significantly change from what Alex had been raised with up until the age of 16.
Okay, so it's your opinion that that factors into his choice to go commit 3 aggravated crimes?
Based on everything that I know, yes, that is a factor that I also consider.
Okay, and is the mother still currently working?
I do not believe so.
Okay, yeah, but either way, I mean, based on your report, one of Alex's siblings has some health issues, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so mother and possibly father got up or they're pretty busy taking the sibling to different doctor's appointments, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so there's a lot of time periods possibly that if this court were to grant him probation, that he would be alone and possibly falling back to the wrong crowd, correct?
My understanding and in speaking with the family, that dynamic is going to change. That's why it's a dynamic factor. It's things that can fluctuate up and down. And the family has renewed a commitment to do things differently and sort of evaluate the importance of certain things in their life. And one of the things that they have chosen to do as parents is to become more involved and make the necessary changes to provide a supportive environment for Alex.
Okay, but there's still possibility, right, that he would be by himself while the mother is taking the other child to health appointments, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you stated that there's significant challenges in prison. Okay, one could say that there's also significant challenges in the Bexar County Jail, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but Mr. Oculus seemed to get along fine in the Bexar County Jail, right?
There have been, he has been the victim of some physical assaults in the jail.
Have these been reported?
No, and that's really not unusual. If you tell in jail, bad things can happen to you.
But he's made some friends in jail, right? Even an inmate got chose to write a letter on his behalf, correct?
Yes, he has found some peers in the jail.
Who passed away?
Just a few clarification and follow-up questions. Ms. Morales, when you're conducting your evaluations and assessments, family is one part of it or all of it?
No, it's one part.
And so when you're sitting down with parents and you're talking with Alex, what are the type of things that you talk about, and what changes do you see?
Well, we discussed the current situation, what their thoughts and feelings are, what they would do different. That's always kind of a difficult topic to talk to parents about. Obviously, parent wants this for their child. But Alex's parents have done some thinking, evaluating what did they do, what could they have done differently. And I think that based on my conversations with them, that it's kind of, it's been their come to Jesus moment, if I may say, realizing that some mistakes were made and the things that they want to do differently.
I know the state asked you a couple of questions about Alex being by himself. Are there any significant risks in any of your assessments when it comes to him maybe being at home with his siblings by himself?
As far as, I'm sorry.
as far as how behaviors or patterns or anything like that when you review the assessments?
Well, obviously, no one is going to be under 24-hour surveillance in their home. So yes, there will be moments that Alex will be by himself or alone with his siblings. And that's where the importance of level of supervision, the engagement with his probation officer or whoever the supervising person is. That's going to be very important. Also, going back to school, doing that full time. He didn't have any disciplinary when he was attending school. And he has really verbalized his understanding of the importance of education if he's to turn things around.
So being on probation would actually help Alex in this instance.
For Alex, yes, there are classes that he would be required to take, reporting requirements, obviously probably UAs that he would have to take. He would be on a more rigid schedule and also being more around, his parents have committed to being more responsive to any issues that they may see.
Further questions, Your Honor?
Any further questions?
No, you're.
Defense rests.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Any objections? So are you aware that in the stipulations, it says that at the jail, he was using another inmate's PIN number to make phone calls? Elaborate.
So Alex is kind of caught in between the adult but not really adult stage of thinking.
Mhm.
So it's not unusual that peers, people his age, may have a bigger impact at this point. The good thing is that changing can think, that thinking can change. He can learn new skills. His brain, the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala will be making those connections as he gets older, which will lessen the impulsivity and give him more emotional regulation and making good decisions.
All right, thank you so much.
Maybe excuse me.
Yes. All right, do you have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor, defense rests.
So I've previously spoken with Ms. Castillo, and there are some letters that I'm not objecting to her offering.
Do you like a copy? Up.
Court will review letters that are to them. Just give me a couple of minutes. Right, one is in Spanish.
We provided
Translation.
the translations, Your Honor. We just kept the originals for
Right, thank you.
records.
I can read Spanish, but I don't want to mess up the interpretation.
We thought ahead.
All right, I appreciate that. Right, the court has reviewed the documents. Is there anything your client wishes to say?
No.
So if you all can, I understand what the witness stated. But if y'all can explain to me how he commits one aggravated robbery, pulls a weapon on somebody. Then in the report, he says he's only doing it. And this is from the stipulations. He's saying he's only doing it because somebody forced him to do it, some man he doesn't know. And that he was at Sam Houston High School attending. But my understanding from testimony is that he was homeschooled. And I guess at some point he went to Sam Houston.
Yes, Your Honor. So he transitioned schools because he was finding himself in a position with these kids that he was trying to escape.
All right.
And
So-
so that was part of the reason why he transferred schools to a different location to try to get away from the environment that he was experiencing.
All right. So if somebody can explain to me how he commits one aggravated robbery, and then the next month he commits another and he doesn't internalize that this is the wrong thing to do.
I think the main thing, Your Honor, that was affecting Alex at this time was his environment and this external pressure, threats, and the people he was around at that time. And with him being so young and trying to understand exactly what is the right decision, how do
How old were
I,
the other people who were with him?
they were around the same age, Your Honor. And it's those situations where, you have a group of young kids, Alex, who wasn't the one, holding the gun to the store clerk, but knows, I'm in this tough position. I'm being threatened at the same time. I know this is wrong. And I want to be clear, Alex from day one has taken accountability for everything.
Right. So if he's saying that he's being threatened, unless the law has changed, maybe it has, I don't, say that I know everything, but if he's committing an offense under duress, then isn't that a defense?
It is, Your Honor. And we talk about these things with clients on how they wish to proceed. And
So he doesn't want a jury trial?
at this time, no, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Avila has been through more than most people since his young life. And there are times when, as a kid, he's trying to make the good decisions with the influence of his parents, moving to a new country, trying to get the health care for his brother. And as we stated to the court, he takes accountability for everything, and he knows exactly where he went wrong. And I think one of the things that spoke the most to me was when I was sitting with Mr. Avila and we were talking about letters from people and family, and he's the one himself that said, I wanted to write something to judge. And we sat several times where we passed revisions. He's like, I want to make it as grammatically correct as possible. What else? What can I talk about? And that exchange really spoke to, I think, the core of who he was and who he is. He's recognized where things have gone wrong, and he's recognized where things can go even worse for him in his life. And I think that's a lesson that a lot of people who come before the court learn at different times. And so for me to see that growth in him at such a young age when speaking with him, I think is what spoke the most to both the social worker and myself. Mr. Avila is someone who was caught in the wrong place, wrong time, wrong factors. But he is also someone who takes accountability. He is also someone who is trying to carve out steps for himself and create a plan of success. And to see that for someone his age, I think is pretty remarkable. I told him the options, and we've discussed what could happen. And, he's asking the court for probation, and he would like the chance to tell you and show you exactly what he is capable of and how he can turn his life around. And I wholeheartedly think that that chance should be extended to him. Let him prove to you. And if not, the alternative as well. But at least give him this chance to show you exactly what he has learned, what he wants to do, and how he wants to move forward with his life, not only to correct the harm that he's caused, but also to become a productive member.
All right, state.
Judge, regarding this offense and the letters that I reviewed during the time of his incarceration, yes, the defendant has come to learn that what he did was wrong, but I mean, he knew it back then. And in his letter that he wrote, he's falling on the sword because he knows that he's coming before this honorable court. I think that in reviewing the stipulations, I think that he's displaying a continued pattern of, you know, with the use of other people's SID numbers, that is against the rules that are in jail, so a pattern of continuing criminal behavior, and then also, I mean, this was not just one aggravated robbery. It was, they hit one store and then are, you know, collecting and appropriating property from that store, and then they go back. And these are people that he met at school, I might add, but, and then they go to another store and then a third store. And so, while I understand what counsel is saying, I mean, this was a continued pattern of criminal behavior, violent criminal behavior, where he states that he was aware that these robberies were going to occur and still chose to engage in this criminal conduct, Your Honor.
All right. So here's the thing, and I want you to understand my thought pattern and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I talk to children all the time, and you know what I always tell them? If you're with a group of friends and you all are planning a robbery, you might as well go in the store yourself with a gun, because if somebody else went in the store with a gun, it's like you went in the store with a gun. That's the way Texas law operates. And my problem with you is I understand you're young, and that's what I'm trying to balance. I'm balancing the fact that you're young. I'm balancing the fact that you didn't have a gun. Because I've had clients before where they're just the lookout. Somebody gets killed, they're charged with murder, they're looking at life in prison. But you were more than just a lookout. You're opening doors for people. And part of the reason why everybody is charged the same is because historically, if you look at the way the law was written, they're thinking that maybe this crime would not have happened but for your participation. Sometimes if somebody says, well, I'll be the driver to this robbery. Well, maybe if that person would have said, no, I'm not driving anybody, then everybody would have said, well, we can't do this. We're not going to do it. But you continued, and it's not just one. So the state is asking for a cap of 10. I'm balancing your age. Hopefully you have learned something. And I'm also balancing the fact that you did not have a weapon. But at the same time, I'm balancing the fact that after everything happened, you all sat around and counted money. Do you even remember what happened to your share of the money, what you used it on?
None of us.
I didn't spend it.
Sometimes people go to a convenience store, they end up killing the clerk, and you know what? They end up with $20. Was that clerk's life worth more than $20? Most definitely. Is time going to prison worth more than the $20 you had? So I'm going to find you guilty. Does anybody want to speak to the cap?
Your Honor, we would ask for the lowest possible. We know that the court is taking into consideration everything that is happening. Just so Mr. Avila can get what he has planned, done, and he doesn't waste time in the beginning moving and potentially experiencing more negative things that would harm and actually impact him coming back to the system. We understand the court's position, and we understand the things the court's taking into consideration. And I think this is one of the opportunities where the law allows for justice, where you get to exercise your discretion.
Judge, I am asking for the time. I did review everything that was prosecutor went over testimony with the witness, which was provided to me, and that was factored into the plea bargain. And I think another aggravating factor is that there were other people that were with this defendant and this co-defendant that were unidentified, and so. We would ask for 10 years.
All right, the court is gonna find you guilty in each cause number. The court will sentence you to a $2,000 fine, time and money to run concurrent. Court will give you credit for any time served. The cases will run concurrently. Court will take in consideration 2025 CR 001801A, 2024 CC 741988. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. The court will request the therapeutic community. Court will sentence you to 7 years in the prison. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes.
Because it's a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. I understand that prison life is extremely hard. If I had all of the money in the world and could build a prison the way it should be built, every inmate would have their own cell. That wouldn't be 4 to a cell, 5 to a cell, or any of this. But I understand that there are bad things that happen at the prison. But here's the thing. Do not waste your time at the prison. There's some free education there. Make sure you do that. If they have a welding program, get in a welding program, and do not become institutionalized. And do not get tattoos all over your body, because people will recognize those as prison tattoos. When you're released from the prison, if you have any problem finding a place for any alcohol issues you have, any mental health issues you have, if I'm still here, you come back here, I'll pick up the phone and find transitional housing for you. All right, good luck to you. Okay. Excuse me, Robert.
Yes, sure.
Thank you so much. All right, anyone else ready?
Yes, Judge. Page 3, first one, Matthew Garcia.
Matthew Garcia?
There are
For Mr. Garcia, Judge.
Yes. And if he'll come up, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
So how did your trial go?
Really well.
Okay.
Yes. Thank God. Very happy.
All right. So do you have the same records?
Yes, Your Honor.
And state, have you been able to tender an offer?
We're just comparing, I do believe defense counsel is letting me know that she has reviewed the CPS records that we had already tendered, and there seems to be something that they believe is missing, so.
What is missing?
Some information about another allegation that occurred between one of the CWs and a different juvenile. We saw the body cams and the CW's mom discusses that, so we would
We didn't see anything in the CPS records about that, although she did state that CPS was called. So we do want to confirm that if CPS was called in regards to that allegation or not, because it would have been, it's important to his defense.
All right, Ms. Ferguson, reset this in 3 weeks and state you'll need to be prepared to tender an offer.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Sure. What date?
November 3rd.
November what?
10th.
All right, so you're gonna be back on November 10th. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. You're welcome.
All right, next.
Edward Lopez, on page 3, third one down. They're all on the 3795.
Edward Lopez.
Well, yeah, no.
Good morning.
May I approach it?
Yes.
But in this case, Mr. Valdez, we found the PTV agreement. He's remanded without.
No, Edward Lopez.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Where's attorney?
It's 379.
All right, just give me a moment. Give me the next one. Just have a seat, sir. We'll come with you shortly.
Next I have. Page 8, second down, Edward Valdez.
I'm sorry, which page?
Page 8, second down, Edward Valdez.
All right, Edward Valdez.
No, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but Judge, in this case, Mr. Valdez is remanded without bond. He and I went over the PTD agreement.
Mhm.
He signed it. However, he's remanded without bond. So this is a court's copy. I made a copy for you, Judge. And we asked to grant him a PR bond so he can be released.
So
and-
why is he remanded without bond? Is it for, he's a no-show? That's what it says in the system. So he is not eligible for a PR bond.
Okay, so then how is he supposed to start the PTD program?
Oh, you'll need to file a motion. I'll hear it and bond will be set.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
okay, thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. All right, who's next?
Next I have. Page 1, fifth one down, Stacy Smith.
Stacy Smith? Stacy Smith? All right, next.
Page, oh, I'm sorry, that one is this one, I apologize. Trying to keep them in all.
All right, 30-day reset on Smith.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Page 7. Second and third one. For Lennon Cortez.
Lennon Cortez? All right, where are we on discovery?
I still need to get discovery. I had an issue come up here, with Mr. Cortez.
Okay.
Verbal interactions and, I'm not gonna be intimidated, so I'm asking for a motion to withdraw in this case. I don't feel that I can communicate with him. I hate to do this, but, it's one of those situations. I don't need to be stared down. I don't need the intimidation. Maybe another attorney he can do better with.
Okay.
Try to give him his options and, he doesn't want to listen.
All right, thank you. You're excused.
Thank you, Judge.
You're gonna get one more attorney. That's it. After that, you can represent yourself or you can retain one. Do you understand? Everyone needs to be treated with respect. I don't know why you think being disrespectful for your attorney will make your attorney want to represent you better. So just have a seat. An attorney will be appointed to you.
The page attaches just explanation of what's going on.
All right, who's here on Michael Keaton? All righty. Who's next?
Stephen Flores on page 7, fifth one down.
Stephen Flores. Probation, there's no application. Mr. Flores. Court is calling 2025 CR 012124, State versus Stephen Daniel Flores Jr. Can I have parties announced?
In Galloway for the state.
Andrew Frelick, Mr. Flores.
And are you Mr. Flores?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you need to speak up so the court reporter can hear.
Yes, Your Honor. Judge, he's having trouble hearing out of his left ear, so if we could, I'm gonna try to speak as loud as I can for him as well.
All right, counsel, have you received all discovery? Did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Flores, did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Your Honor.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
That's you. Thank you. You
Yes, Your
proceed.
No problem.
Yes, we're.
Mr. Flores, did you review the court admonishments with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're charged with evading arrest detention with a previous conviction as a state jail felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. If you have a plea with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call, and the right to remain silent. By entering this plea, you're giving up those rights. Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
He does, Your Honor.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Flores, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
Oh, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
Oh, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
No.
You're not a U.S. citizen. By entering into this plea, you may be deported, denied naturalization, or re-entry into the states. Did you understand?
No.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to the plea, punishment is to be assessed at 9 months in the state jail facility. There's a $2,000 fine, no applications. The state will take in consideration 2025 PF 28226, 2025 CR 012123. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State.
It is, Your Honor.
Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in both places?
No.
By signing that, you're waiving your right to appeal. The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
No.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then to the offense, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Answers.
State any evidence.
The upper states are attachment.
No, no objections.
State you may be excused. Did you review the waiver and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in both, in all appropriate places?
Yeah.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call, and the right to remain silent?
Ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor, wait PSI.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Here, we ask you follow the plea bargain agreement.
All right, the court will sentence you to 9 months in the state jail facility, give you credit for any time served. There's a $2,000 fine, time and money to run concurrently. Court will take in consideration 2025 PF 28226, 2025 CR 012123. There's to be no contact with 6814 Military Drive. That is the Quick Trip store, and the court will recommend the therapeutic community.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Wow.
Because it's plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing, the therapeutic community is to help you with any drug or alcohol problem you may have. I cannot force them to place you in that program. I don't have the jurisdiction to do that. But they'll see on the judgment that I'm requesting it. You'll have to request it as well. If you do not take care of your drug or alcohol problem, you know what's going to end up happening? You're going to be living your life at somebody's prison, somebody's jail, or either somebody's going to be identifying your body. You understand? When you're released from custody, if you can't find a sober living house, if I'm still here, come back here and I'll find a place for you. All right, good luck to you, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, who's next?
page one, third one down. Ruth Payne.
Ruth Payne? Good morning. All right, so there was going to be PTD and then what, not PTD?
Yes, Your Honor, PTD, we just submitted the application today to the records. Clerk.
All right. So Ms. Ferguson, I need a date for PTD. All right, and so the application has been submitted.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll bring you back on 11/20. Make sure you follow through on everything that they're asking of you. Do you understand?
Your Honor,
Yes.
is there a possibility that I could get it the week prior or earlier that week? I'm gonna be out on vacation on the 20th.
What I can tell you is usually that's the length of time it takes for completion of everything. If everything is completed, then they will have sent me the proper documents for me to sign, and it'll probably be done. So if it hasn't been done, she's just gonna get another reset.
Understood, Your Honor.
Right. So we'll see you back on November 20th. Just make sure you follow through on everything, all right? All right, thank you for dressing appropriately for court. Once you sign the reset form, you're excused. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Have a great
counsel.
day.
You too. All right, who's next?
I have.
Are you all ready?
We're on the list, Judge.
Okay,
Also, there are a couple, we've submitted a memo in that case as well, so when it comes to us, there is a sentencing memo.
all right. Can I see the sentencing memo?
For Lunsford?
I don't know. What's your client's name? Lunsford? Is that next? And defense, are you all going to have witnesses? Okay. And state, are you going to have witnesses? All right, so if parties can approach on this case, please. So has the restitution been paid in full? All right. And before we go on the record, any objection to the court reviewing the PSI?
No, ma'am, no objection. The only qualification is there is a letter written by a ex-mother-in-law that really has nothing to do with the merits of the case.
Is that Matthews?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you'll object to the court reading that?
I don't object to you reading it. I just simply ask that it be taken into and put in the context it deserves. As I told Mr. Locke, without diminishing the seriousness of today at all, if I'm ever sentenced and any ex-mother-in-law I have has a vote, I'm going to the Polunsky unit. But other than that,
Really?
yes, ma'am.
Oh,
2 out of 3 anyway.
okay. 2 out of 3. Is there a common denominator?
Yes,
in all
ma'am.
these?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, just y'all can remain here. Just give me
Sure.
5 minutes. Righty. We're gonna go on the record. Court is calling 2025 CR 0010023 State versus Mark Davis Lunsford. But I have parties announced for the record.
Stop, state.
Dan Pogdell and Sam Locke for Mr. Lunsford, Your Honor.
And are you Mr. Lunsford?
Yes, Your Honor.
You entered a plea in this case. As a part of your plea bargain agreement, you were to pay the restitution upfront. The restitution amount was $297,000, well, approximately $297,000. Has that been paid upfront?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your plea bargain agreement, the state is opposed to your application for deferred adjudication. The state is recommending community supervision. What I can tell parties, since he has paid the restitution upfront, the court is going to follow your agreement in the granting of community supervision. So the only thing that needs to be addressed here is the application for deferred adjudication. And state, you are opposed.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and if you could explain.
Yes, Your Honor. There are 55 counts in this indictment. This defendant pled to one of them that encompassed much of the conduct. But at its essence, it's just a theft case. It's a theft case. It's a theft that went on for many years. What we allege is from at least 2010 to 2019. Mr. Lunsford was an insurance agent. He stole money from his clients. And it went on for a long time. It went on repeatedly. And it went on even after the Department of Insurance revoked his license practice and to sell and collect payments and that sort of thing. I know the court hears a lot of theft cases, and it's certainly a miserable experience to be victims of that. But I think it's even worse whenever it involves a breach of trust that results in victims losing a sense of security. We all rely on certain people to handle our money, and we trust them to do that, whether they be financial advisors, bankers, insurance agents, etc., CPAs. But I think we have that luxury of trusting them to handle things the way we want to be done. But these victims in this case will probably no longer have that luxury ever to have that sort of things. And the plea bargain reflects that Mr. Lunsford has been remorseful, has made upfront restitution of these victims as what we can collect. And I think that the reason that we are opposed to the deferred adjudication is so that the punishment for Mr. Lunsford will have a permanent effect and will have the effect of warning others in the future by having it on his record. The state did also seek a jail sanction as part of the plea bargain, and we recommended it in the plea bargain because of the scope and gravity of the fraud that was perpetrated by Mr. Lunsford. Well, it's laudable that he made this upfront restitution, and that was a primary goal of the state, so that these victims did not have to be delayed justice any longer in this case. But the reality is that payment could have been made at any point while this case was pending. It was pending for a long time to be indicted, and Mr. Lunsford is aware of the investigation. So for that reason, for justice for these victims, that's why we are asking the things that we are asking for today.
All right.
Good morning.
Thanks.
Mr. Lunsford is here today with his wife Claire, with his first cousin George Craig, and Miss Landers and Miss Salinas, who are neighbors of Mr. Craig. He's 49 years old, save and except a fight that he got into when he was 17 years old that was resulted in his successfully completing a misdemeanor deferred. This is his first interface with law enforcement. He has, as they pointed out, made right at $300,000 in restitution. He is happily married. He has 2 adult children by a prior marriage, 2 stepchildren by this marriage. The difference in deferred adjudication is a difference with a distinction in this case for a number of reasons. One, it's a first-degree felony. If he should violate the terms and conditions, obviously he opens himself up to the full range. Second, he's a certified crane operator. A straight probation, which is obviously a conviction, will bar him from doing work at a federally supervised facility, which basically in Houston is about half his work. So it's going to impede significantly on his work. But we would ask that the court consider the deferred adjudication, given his full restitution, given the community support he has, and given his ability to continue to be a successful employee.
All right. So what I read in the PSI there's a mention by someone who's not his mother,
Ex-mother.
ex-mother-in-law. Someone else said that he had done this before with State Farm.
I don't believe that's in the evidence that was submitted, State Exhibit 1, that person may have had knowledge of that information. I generally have knowledge of that, but not specific information enough to give the court about prior case and.
Well, I'm just addressing it because it's included in the packet that I received with the PSI. So does anyone want to address that?
Yes, Judge, just briefly, there was discussion about that specific letter. I believe that's the unsigned letter that purports to be on behalf of 4 people.
Yes.
There are allegations of uncharged conduct that we saw today for the first time. I would submit to the court that the state has had this case for a while. It's been ongoing litigation. If there were other charges to be made, they would have brought them. The plea bargain before the court was with the work of Mr. Stout on behalf of the state and Texas Department of Insurance and counsel for Mr. Lunsford. And we'd ask that the court rule on what's in front of it that's been charged. It's just a vague allegation without a signature, and it's very difficult to address, Your Honor.
All right. So are both parties asking the court to disregard that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All right, then the court will disregard that.
One brief reply in response to Mr. Stout, Your Honor. He indicated that it took Mr. Lunsford a minute to effectuate restitution. We made it clear from day one when he was charged, I think back in February, that our intent was to pay this. It took Mr. Stout a while to get the restitution effectuated or together, which we understand. But we've always represented, we wanted to make restitution.
All right, so here's my question, and I'm just trying to weigh on whether or not to grant his deferred or not. What was the end game? Because, and by that I mean, because there are a lot of people who are involved. And what the court is seeing is some of this, I think it's listed as elderly persons who had, I guess their premiums or whatever that they thought they were paying that were taken. I mean, what, did he not think anyone would ever report this? Did he not think that at some point somebody was going to need to use their insurance and then their insurance is canceled and they don't know about it? What?
Judge, I can't crawl back in his mind back at the time. I think this was another example of, you know, for lack of a better description, thinking that he could muscle his way through it and eventually get the insurance that these people wanted, and just never did.
All right, is there anything you wish to say?
Just like to.
You want to raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Mark.
All right, what would you like to say?
I submitted a written statement that, just to kind of hear that if I may, just wanted to.
Oh, have you seen the statement?
Is it the same one that's in?
It's in- yes.
Okay.
Just, you know, offer my sincere remorse to all the victims, to everybody involved in this case, take full responsibility. It left a mess in my wake. There's decisions.
But I mean, see, I love to have as much information as I can have. I'm trying to figure out what were you thinking when you were doing this, because it's more than one person. It's not, oh, I did this one time. Did you need money? I mean, what was the point?
My business was failing. I was trying to cover bills and it kind of snowballed on me. I knew it was wrong at the time. I felt there was my course of action at that time, and that I would correct it, I would fix it, and it just got out. Doesn't excuse my actions. It was wrong. You know, they're wrong. 2019, I walked away from all that. Completely employed by the same employer ever since.
All right. Is there anything else?
Nothing can say.
All right, I'm going to give you a choice. Because it appears that you don't have any criminal history other than this, is that correct? All right. And I've been asked to disregard certain things, and if there's no information before me that the state has, I'm sorry, that the defense had a chance to question and put to the test of its truthfulness, then I'm not going to consider it. So these are your choices. This is your only choice. You have no other choice. One, I'll grant your deferred for 10 years, but you're going to be taken into custody today, and it's going to be 180 days. Two, I can find you guilty, and I'm not going to give you any time as a condition of probation. Those are your only two choices.
Take option 2.
So no jail time. All right, the court is going to find you guilty. The court is going to sentence you to 10 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 10 years. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular random UAs. There's to be no employment handling any financial transactions. There's to be proof of employment within 45 days. No employment as a home healthcare provider or with minors. There's to be 200 hours of community service restitution. Probation, the felony anti-theft course, is that similar to CAT's 1 and 2 theft course, or is that something different? All right, so which do you think is most appropriate?
That's 1 and 2 in my opinion.
All right, CAT's 1 and 2 theft course. And does that encompass the MRT?
No, Judge.
All right, the MRT. With regards to Houston, are you asking that it be transferred to Houston?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm so sorry, is that Travis or Harris?
It's Harris.
Okay. Transfer to Harris County. Field visits, Miss Abram, is if they do them 1 time per month for 6 months. And there's to be no contact with the complainants.
Judge, one of the complainants is Mr. Lunsford's father. He did not ask for restitution, and he still enjoys a good relationship with his father. So I would ask that not be enforced.
We agree with that.
All right, there's to be no contact with the complainants. The only exception is the defendant's father. Probation, is there anything else?
No employment.
Handling any type of financial transactions.
Nothing else, Judge.
Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
No, Your Honor. Your Honor, did you assess the fine? I believe our plea bargain included a
All right, there's a $10,000 fine. The court will probate 5,000 of that. No one usually know where the fine goes. It ends up disappearing and we can never track it. That's not me, that's the government who cannot track it. All right, there's a $10,000 fine. 5,000 of that will be probated. If you successfully complete everything, you only have to pay the $5,000. If you do not, you're looking at the full $10,000. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes.
Because it's plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we can go off the record. So here's the thing, since you accepted the guilty, even if you would not have accepted the guilty, this is a crime of moral turpitude. Anything that requires a license, you need to let them know that you have this. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Is there anything else from either side?
Just one minor thing, when we did the plea, there was a page in the SIPs that had a secured area with a postage stamp. And I have the updated clean version of it.
All right, thank you. And you're offering this?
Yeah, I'll let them see it. It's copy without the structure.
We talked about it before. Your Honor.
All right, then the court will accept an amendment to the stipulations. And it is appears to be a document from the Texas Department of Insurance. And I'm sorry, one more thing. He has given up his license, correct?
It's been removed, Your Honor.
All right, is there any request that he's not to obtain any insurance license?
It's not part of our plea bargain, but obviously the felony conviction is something that would.
We don't have an objection to the court entering that.
Yes, I'm gonna put that in because you never know what will happen. So, defendant is not allowed a license in, insurance, any type of insurance. All right, once you go over, the paperwork with probation will be excused, and this court communication is key when you're on probation. If there's an issue, let probation know about it. If you feel they're not addressing it, you can come back to the court.
So will I be contacted if she's in probation?
They'll talk to you about that.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
We're
Thank
off the
you.
record, Your Honor.
Yes.
Mr. Locke tells me your social media followers send you the flowers. I just get death threats from mine.
No.
Good for you.
So here's the thing, they do not.
I was,
No, I buy my own flowers.
Okay.
This is my mom. My mom says that other than being at home, the most time you spend is at work, and you should try to make it as beautiful as possible. So she would always tell me all the time, she said, if you cannot spend $20, because that's what it costs, if you cannot spend $20 on yourself, then what are you working for?
good for you.
But so
Good for her.
that's me. That's me. This is for Bosses Day.
Mm.
So, and my staff is so awesome.
I just got death threats on Boss's Day too, but that.
Oh, that's messed up. Oh, and I forgot. So, and also my students will send me flowers. But it does, for the record, it doesn't improve their grades. Their grade is their grade.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. And then next, I'm going to take up Sanchez. If you could find out what page he is on. Once I put this in the system, I'll take that up. I believe you said his attorney is in jury trial.
Yeah.
Oh, let me put this in real quick.
So I know there's other people on there. But if the mental health people are here for him, but we can just get him out of here. And then this one in here is to. Michael Keaton.
Once your hand goes off the home road keys, you can't get it back for the day. All right. Yes.
The mental health people are here, we're waiting on Mr. Payne.
All right, Mr. Payne.
And, but this one right here, Mr. Keating, he was in the men's room, whatever you called, it's gonna be a motion for withdrawal.
And could I see the file on Keating, please? All right, Mr. Payne. So what are we gonna do?
I've spoken to Don Payne and Daryl and with Amos Abrams' assistance, we have suggested and spoken to Julian Gonzalez, who's with supervision, who's gonna work on the Tacoma screening within the next 2 weeks to get him over to the MIC unit. I also received a point of contact, John Lapointe, who's over the Fact and Act team. And I will be calling and contacting him directly to get that referral process expedited for him to resume with services with Fact and Act team. And skip going back to the intake process downtown, because that seems to be the level of frustration with waiting there for hours. And then at that, he's not getting seen. So what I've told both Mr. Paynes is that I will work alongside with them, along with Christine, to make sure all of that gets taken care of. We've exchanged numbers, and I think we're pretty hopeful that this will be set in place for him.
All right, and see, and here's the thing, she is not even a part of this equation legally, but she's coming down to help. She knows Miss McDonald well, so they can confer with each other to try to get your brother the help he needs. That's what everybody's trying to do. And I always say, many times frustrations are misplaced. My funding, well, people always think, oh, Judge, what's your budget? I don't have a budget. You know, it's me picking up the phone, calling people to see if people can get in the placements they need, because I want him to be successful. McDonald wants him to be successful. The prosecutors want him to be successful. So when you feel frustration, I guarantee you, the reason why things are not moving the way you think they should be, it's a funding issue. So write to your legislature and tell them there needs to be more funding for mental health, because the line is long. So before taking your frustrations out on anyone else. Yeah. All right. All right. So what we'll do is we'll call this back. Is November 20th, is that enough time for everybody to see where we are?
I think November, yes, that's enough time, Judge.
All right, so we're gonna come back, Mr. Payne, on November 20th and see where we are. And have you been able to get your exercise in and walk around?
Yeah.
Okay, and then returning back where you're supposed to be?
Yes, man.
All right, anything else you need help with?
Man, I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm
all right, just continue the good things. I've been having good reports, okay?
yes, ma'am.
All right, and we're gonna try to make sure we work this other component out.
Ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Payne, for looking out for your brother. All right. Yes, thank you guys so much. Oh, he needs a reset form. All right, and Mr. Sanchez, what page is he on? Lopez?
Page, 3, third one down.
All right, Mr. Lopez? Come forward. Hello. All right. Sorry about the way that you can tell Mondays are always a little hectic and busy.
I see that.
So what we're gonna do, I'm being told that your attorney is in jury trial. So we're gonna recall you back. Norma, let's just recall him back for the 20th and see where his attorney is and the trial. So they're gonna give you a reset form. Once you receive that, you are excused.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for dressing appropriately for court.
Thank you.
All right, the parties on Keating. Good morning, how's it going?
It's going.
Oh,
I went to Formula One yesterday.
how was that?
There wasn't a single pass the entire race. It was the most boring sporting event I've ever attended.
You know, I always wonder, because I've never been, but you know, from what I've seen on television, it seems like it's very loud.
It was. It absolutely was. Hearing protection is necessary.
I saw one where, I can't remember which race it was, but one of the tires came off and flew into the stands. People don't realize how
Oh, yeah,
That's dangerous.
absolutely.
All right.
We have an agreement with the state. We're gonna modify the terms.
And what is the terms being modified
We're
to?
gonna add MRT.
Mhm.
And we're gonna add specifically that before he travels, he must notify probation via email 24 hours in advance. So there's no question about the communication, because the court had granted him permission. The allegations are that he didn't have permission. So we just wanted to clear up any confusion with probation by adding that requirement that he notify them 24 in advance.
Ms. Abrams? On Mr. Keaton? What are you all requesting?
Your Honor, if I may, I discussed with, Officer Keeney and with Ms. Abrams, that we wanted to add some language to his amended conditions so that, because he was allowed to travel within the US and internationally for work,
Mhm.
we just wanted to add some language that he be required to notify his probation officer ahead of time, so that, like Mr. Mailer said, there's no confusion as to where he is or why. And I'm not sure if Ms. Abrams said anything more specific.
That is correct. On the court summary, it says to amend for MRT and a GPS device for 6 months. I don't think the GPS is really necessary, Judge.
So what about the MRT?
We've agreed to it, Your Honor.
Okay.
That's part of.
And then the notification for work, what time frame are you all asking for? And is this notification for work that's out of state, out of county?
I would say out of state and out of the country, unless probation needs it to be out of the.
That's correct, Judge.
So just out of state?
And out of county and out of
Country.
country.
All right, so alternate amending conditions, you're to notify probation of employment that's out of state and out of country
Ahead of travel.
within, you want it 24 hours before?
If we can get
48.
48 to 72, that would be great.
I don't think we have any objection.
Right, 48 or 72 hours.
48 would be great, Your Honor.
All right, 48 hours before leaving. And then what is the issue with the field visits?
There was confusion there because he has multiple residences. He's allowed to live at either residence per the court. And he's actually, and I've shown the state emails, he's attempted to coordinate with probation.
So where is he gonna stay? He needs to pick a residence.
Yeah. His Sun Oak residence is fine, Your Honor.
All right, then you need to be available for field visits. And those field visits will start now for once a month for 6 months.
Okay.
All right, is there anything else?
I think so, Your Honor.
So you,
Oh, sorry.
so you, did you want the MRT, Judge? Are you
Yes.
referring it?
And MRT. All right,
I would remind the court that they ordered him to GPS as a condition of bond on
Mhm.
this. So yeah, as soon as he can get that.
so is he currently
He
on
has
GPS?
GPS on, needs a removal.
What's the issue I'm saying?
GPS needs a removal order.
Okay, that's fine.
And let me see. Just one moment, let me go into the system. All right, and Miss Abrams, it'll be removal of GPS?
Okay, that was the condition of bond, right?
Yes. All right, is there anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Welcome. You too. All right, who's next?
Next, on page 5, 6, and 7, Officer Carvajal.
Carvajal. Carvajal. Hello, so what is happening with Mr.
We're
Carvajal?
co-defendants with Mr. Castañon, who was here earlier, Judge, so we have the same large amount of discovery. We want to provide the terabyte drive as he's going to do. So we're asking for the same 30 days that you were gracious enough to give the co-defendant.
Okay. I hate that time. All right, so it'll be November 20th. I think that's the date that the other
Did,
person.
I leave on the 19th. Could I do either a week after or a couple of days before that date?
Let me see. Well, which do you prefer, the week?
I'd prefer the week after if possible,
All
or
right,
sometime after that date.
then that would have to be, Norma, are we able to put this on December 1st? Then
Thank-
that will be December 1st.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you.
I'll see you before then. All right, bud.
All right. All right, anyone else?
Yeah, page 3, second one, Gabriel Carvajal.
Gabriel Salazar. Good morning. Yes.
Judge, we're set for a motion to suppress.
Yes.
Today, defense is ready.
All right, State, are you ready?
Judge, so this is a case that Lauren was handling. I understand the state, she's not present today. It's not aware that it's set for a motion to suppress on today, so the witness need to proceed on the.
All right, when will you be able to have the witness?
Judge, my understanding is that when we were here on court, I think it was September 18th, the court said that we were set for motion or plea today. And so
No,
noted-
today is plea deadline date or motion to suppress.
motion to suppress. And so I followed up with that just to make sure. So
Yeah.
if we don't plead, it'll be a motion to suppress. Court said yes.
Mhm.
So I've been in email contact with Lauren regarding the reason for my motion and
Mhm.
our argument. And so we've kind of gone back and forth.
Well, have you had a chance to confer with Ms. Galloway?
Well, she brought in a pretrial for the officer and the officer did not show. And so she let me know that via email back in September. I said, well, how are we going to proceed with the hearing? And I didn't hear back from her. So I understand she's out today, but my understanding is that we were set for a motion to suppress.
All right, so this is what the court is going to do. Court is going to recall this for tomorrow for your motion to suppress. And we're going on the motion to suppress tomorrow. And if the state doesn't have witnesses here, we're proceeding on the motion to suppress,
And not today, correct?
not today. So, tomorrow, Norma, recall this for tomorrow at 10:30.
Yes.
So at 10:30 tomorrow, I'm gonna call it for the motion to suppress. All right, thank you. All right, who's next?
Next, I have on page 1, 4, and 5, Alexis Gabriel.
Alexis Gabriel. Oh, and then she has,
Mr. Sanchez.
all right, this, just give me, let me do this and then I'll take that up. All right, where are we on this case, counsel?
Judge, I had given the state a hard drive to put on one of the cases. After I reviewed the hard drive, it turned out to be a case I already had. So
Oh,
I've given them another hard drive today. I'd like to come back in 2 weeks.
all right, Ms. Ferguson. If you could set this for 2 weeks for discovery, please. All right, we'll come back on November 3rd.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate that. And I also have Mr. Martinez.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
We'll be back. Judge, can she sit down now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she can go.
Um. I just have to put everything in Odyssey.
No worries, Your Honor.
Martinez?
Sorry that you had this.
All right, what page is Martinez on?
Page 1, 4th one down.
All right, yes, counsel, where are we on this case?
Judge, Megan is just about got the photo lineup set up. And I think that if we come back in 2 weeks, we'll have accomplished that.
All right, so then, I'll put this for November 3rd.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then I think that'll work out perfectly.
All right, thank you.
Just may we be excused.
Yes,
Thank you, Your Honor.
you're welcome. Yes.
That's on page 3.
Oh, just 1 second.
That's 3 or?
Yes. No, that's for a photo lineup.
You want Mr. Sanchez?
I do. I'll see you probably next.
Okay, who's next?
Page two, first one, Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman?
As I'm present for him, he's not present this morning. I believe that he may be, Mr. Freeman? He's not here.
All right.
There was a, competency evaluation that's scheduled for November 7th, and then we were supposed to return for the magistrate's court December 15th. And we tried to reach out to him this morning to see, where he was, and his phone is off, and so we'd ask that you consider resetting this court date so you can have that competency hearing or evaluation done, I mean.
Let me see. So did he have a reset form?
He did not, Judge, actually. I reset this case because I was scheduled off
Okay,
and I was gone last week, and so I had reset it the week prior.
all right. So there are no violent offenses. What I'm gonna do is he's gonna have to show up either by Zoom or in person. And Norma,
Yes.
recall this for Thursday. Yes. So he can appear by Zoom or either in person.
Yes, Judge, thank you very much
Welcome.
for that. Maybe excused?
Yes.
I already have that. Again. Thank you.
All right, who else?
Off the first page, 6 1 down.
All right, defense on Walter Prince.
Yes, Sean.
You can appear by Zoom. We're gonna have to call you back in the afternoon.
Okay.
All right.
But
You-
he needs to be here.
Yes, he needs to be here, but if you're not able to be here, you can appear by Zoom.
1:30 then, Judge?
Yes,
Okay. I'll hang
and so
around.
the staff can have a break. All right, Mr.
Judge, I'm just checking.
No, I'm just letting you know.
confirming, Judge, that's all. I'm not-
I appreciate that.
Okay, Judge.
All right, Mr. Prince, we're gonna have you back at 1:30. All right, everyone, the court is gonna go on recess.
Wallace,